if nothing is done, then the question is, where is the Uganda for tomorrow? If you can see these wars in the parliament, if you can see what is happening in the State House, Mr. Museveni, the money, what is very annoying is the point that the State House has money to give musicians, the State House has money to buy cars for reverends, the leaders of the churches, 500 million. You have had the other scandal of members of parliament given um, almost 500 million each. And yet, when you go down it just very close, Mulago Hospital, Mr. Moderator, and you see the situation of how patients sleep on ground. There is not only that sleeping on ground, medicine. You go, you have a patient in Mulago Hospital, Mr. Moderator, and you are sent outside the clinics to search for medicine for your own patient. Then still you come back to the same area, but your patient has there's no doctors around. We are losing lives. We have lost and lost and lost. And this has come to say that I think enough is enough.
Clinton, I think what the state, here sees, they have the army, they have the judiciary, they have the prisons. What do you have? Can you really fight corruption? Can you really fight
Mr.
the
Moderator,
country?
I want to tell you that those are tactics of dictators. When you remember 1987, when President Moi of Kenya took over the power.
Clinton, I've lost your video for our TikTok audience and YouTube.
Okay. Can you hear? I'm on now?
Yeah.
Am I on now?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Moderator, thank you so much. I was telling you, I just wanted to take you back, the viewers. In the 1987, the government of Kenya under President Moi took on power. And when they took on power, what President Moi had to do was to create a situation where Kenyans had to believe that Moi is a father. He had changed the public services, set them under his control, like what you see President Museveni is doing, controlling the army, controlling the public assets, controlling the country's financial, what I may call like how we may say, of course, controlling the financial of the country into his corridors of the country. And what happened to Mr. Moi? He had to make sure that he create effort of weaponizing army, police, intelligence organizations to make sure that whoever came up to speak was silenced, were abducted, so many were killed. And when we come back now and bring those references to Mr. Moderator, to President Museveni's governance, you're going to see that the same tactics of Mr. Moi that he used to suppress and silence people, silence the citizens, it's the same strategy he's using. Because you can imagine people marching peacefully and with a slogan of saying Anita must resign from the parliament because of misappropriating public funds and also failure to govern the Ugandan parliament. And you see that they deploy army as if we are in a war. It is devastating. It is, but we are not so surprised because that's what Mr. Museveni has always been planning. I think if we see army on the streets of Kampala, people of Uganda should be aware that they are living as rebels. So the Mr. Museveni army and intelligence organization and all the money and funds that they're investing in looking and abducting from 2006, Mr. Moderator, Mr. Museveni has been abducting Ugandans. Whoever comes out to speak, if he does not abduct you, Then they will call you if you are a public figure, and they will pay you money and they will silence you. You will not speak tomorrow when you wake up to speak. You saw what happened to Mr. Mpuga. You have seen to what has happened to musicians. You have seen what has happened to big political figures in the country. The old ones, they have been paid off. So in 2002, the Kenyan government, the Kenyans and Kenyan decided, they stood and they said that enough was enough. That is over 25 years, Mr. Moderator. Moi ruled ruled the government of Kenya under his control to the extent that he was called a father. As you see what Mr. Museveni is doing, allowing people, wanting people to subdue under him, wanting people to be called, he was calling them the grandchildren and grandchildren in general. That is totally disrespect to the citizen of Uganda, because a country Uganda is for the people of Uganda. It is not for Mr. Museveni. Mr. Museveni found the country. So I believe that Mr. Museveni uses that kind of patronage system, which is a weaponized one, using by by funding, getting public funds and investing in security. But the security for what? Sorry, Mr. Moderator, when you look at the situation of Mr. Museveni's tactics, it's really brutal that the Uganda does not belong to Ugandans as Ugandans. So um, the statistics should indicates that Museveni has decided to hold Ugandans in custody as he continues using his Hitler's way of rule, is what we may call it, because since like almost since since the beginning of 2024, Mr. Moderator, there have been notable corruption efforts, like have been notable corruption areas. But when Mr. Museveni came to address on 6 June 2024, retaliating his commitment on fighting corruption, what he focused on was like, if these people, they are stealing money, they are, if you follow them up, they're going to steal money and take them outside. But we had already seen reports of Anita Mong in having buildings and having nice dresses costing millions of money, taxpayers' money. Mr. Moderator, I made there's a report under CMP publications that was investigated by us in the UK. Or in the UK, one of the building which UK came out to say that it belonged to Anita Mong. Anita Mong the speaker had to deny that property. But Mr. Moderator, if we really go in systematic way of governance, do you want to tell me that the UK government can come out just to speak about the Anita Mong, to give a false report? But when we detailed it, when we followed up into the report, Mr. Moderator, we found that on the same building, Mr. Moderator, this is so funny, in the same building, which was owned by the family, where the building had two wings. I think I did not come with details, but I could have remembered the
I
building.
think Clinton, you need we're losing you with your network, but to everyone that has tuned in right now, I'm with Clinton Empire, Clinton Miras. He's a Canada-based activist, and his main focus is about Uganda, freeing Uganda, corruption in Uganda, and change of government, because he thinks the junta has ruled Uganda poorly. So, Clinton, back to you. You're talking about corruption through Anita Mong, and Mr. Museveni is saying, let them be. Can there really be change? Can there really be change when it comes to corruption, curbing corruption, avoiding violence in elections, election rigging, when him and the army now under one Mohozi? Can there really be change?
But am I audible enough? Am I audible enough? Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Audible enough.
Mr. Moderator, I want to let you know
Okay. To whoever that is listening on Xavier Radio and anyone on TikTok, we are live. Our main topic tonight. Okay, you're back again. Our main topic
Okay.
tonight is fighting corruption in Uganda. I'm having Clinton on my set. So, Clinton, you're saying?
So I'm saying, Mr. Modulator, I'm so sorry for about my network, but I was telling you that the reason
Okay. Looks like you are losing you still. Okay. As I fight to get him back, whoever that is listening in and would love to share his or her opinion about how we can curb corruption, how we can fight corruption, how we can look through a change of government in Uganda through a fair elections. You can send in your messages. I'll be getting them all. I'll be reading them out. So,
okay,
Clinton, you saying?
Mr. Moderator, can you hear me? Can you
Yes,
hear me
now I can
now?
get you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. Sorry if I think my network was not Mr. Moderator. The reason why I was giving a recap about President Moi was to show you that the people of Kenya had to wake up to decide whether the President Moi government was to proceed with its patronage system to continue ruling the people of Kenya on the gun side. So you asked me a question that what can be done to reform this, what is going on. I want to let you know that at this moment, because you cannot tell me that out of 40 years in power, there is any more anything to change. I do not think so. I think that the people of Uganda have to decide on how they want their country to be tomorrow. It's no longer about Museveni to decide for the country. It's now the people of Uganda. That's why you have had this march to parliament, which is headed by by young youth, the Gen Zs, have come out to say that we are leaderless, we are politicalless, we are numberless, we are fearless. I think you have heard those slogans, Mr. Moderator,
Yes,
didn't
please.
you?
Yes, please.
So the reason why you have heard that is because the Ugandans are deciding to say that enough is enough. And I believe that there is something that must be cooked. They are cooked on. I want to tell you that there is no much that the people of Uganda are still expecting to achieve the government of President Museveni. It's not there anymore. I am just being honest with you. Out of 40 years in power, he has continued to lure Ugandans on gunpoint and through his portrait system, his tactic system, misappropriating the public funds, investing in security, investing in intelligence, just for the intelligence, not to protect the country. Mr. Moderator, in the Constitution of Uganda, the UPDF, the Uganda People's Defense Forces, its role, it is to protect Uganda and its borders. But it's very ashaming that, Mr. Moderator, um, right now, when we look at the situation, it's like why the army is on streets, which means that the people of Uganda, the Uganda police has failed its role. What is the purpose of deploying the Uganda People Defense Forces on streets of Uganda? What is it for? So I believe that Museveni's time is over. And I believe that Ugandans have to wake up, those who are in diaspora and those who are back home, to support each other to make sure that they are able to take off this military coup, which took over their government. It's really what I can say, Mr. Moderator, on that. And that would be the best solution. The youth on the streets in Uganda should proceed to find the ways to reform the Uganda as a new Uganda. It is not going to be easy. It's going to be very difficult. But despite all challenges they are going to meet, all the challenges they are meeting, they are going to win at the end of the day. So it's really what I can say, moderate on
Okay.
that.
Let's talk about the very many people have come out to say that um, this march to parliament was sponsored by the European Union and other groups from the west, maybe the far right or the lefts. So who who's really the head of this organization that is pushing for the change in maybe
Uh,
government and even the making an it among Resign?
well, thank you so much, moderator. As I had already said, that this group of activists, these are young youth, these are young Ugandans. Actually, the correct answer is that the young Ugandans, moderator, what do you expect after you have pressed the nose until to the point that it's no longer inhaling oxygen? That means the nose is going to breathe. And that's what has the government, that's what, and so what the government of Museveni has done. It has pressed Ugandans. Look at the youth, the young youth on border borders. Look at the situation of baiting companies with baiting youth who are always spending time in baiting from morning to Sunday. Look at the situation where almost 10,000 and 10,000, Mr. Moderator, graduate each and every year, but there are no jobs. So I just want to respond to you that these are Ugandans. They are supporting each other. By the way, I have read the report about March Parliament, and I have realized that the March to Parliament is funded by those young youth. They are collecting money. They are soliciting money from different from all corners. I have seen even there is a strong Ugandans who have supported with almost 13 million a Ugandan. So these are Ugandans who are oppressed, who are living under oppression. These are
Mm.
Ugandans who have suffered enough. Because I saw a young girl who was putting on a placard, and the placard, Mr. Moderator, was written on that if Anita, one dress, if Anita Mong did not spend money in buying dresses of 13 million and 15 million, my mother would have not died of cancer. You can imagine. So these are young youth. I don't believe that there is anyone who's sponsoring those that outside. I've heard statements from talking about the same, Mr. Moderator, but it is proven that it is not true because I have been with those youth from the day one. I've been with them from the day one. We started this, they started this. I'm part of them as a concerned citizen. So,
Okay,
Mr. Moderator, you're not speaking from the mouth of the journalist. You're speaking in the person who's part of them.
okay.
So we are leaders. We are fearless. We
Mm.
are we are leaderless. Fearless. We are politicals. We don't support politicians to come into to get involved. However much as individual politicians who are Ugandans, they are free to give out their opinions about the cause. But this is all funded by Ugandans living both in the country and outside the country. It's indeed not hidden. It has come out, it has been communicated publicly, and actually, even I have seen one of the activists called Atuhire Agatha. Atuhire Agatha, Mr. Moderator, is a lawyer and a journalist investigator who is among of those youth, and I've seen her posting the statements of money that they have been soliciting from the Ugandans over paying the judiciary for all those bails. Mr. Moderator, I want to tell you that there were arrests of 115 activists who were arrested on that day, and others who were arrested in other days that followed, but all of them have been bailed out. It's a very good step that the judicial have been pressed on pressure to match its cause. Mr. Moderator, before I really end this, is that I just want to let you know that it is so ashaming of President Museveni, you know, taking over even judiciary. The Uganda Road Court, a judge of Uganda Road Court, it's said that to be a wife of one big person, and you can just imagine how the system has been used to oppress the citizen of Uganda. Mr. Moderator, what is going on? It is something that is actually going to spark anytime, and it's going to cause more than what it has caused. You can go on.
Okay. Um, let's talk about the political prisoners.
Yes,
People are
please.
paying a huge price, and Mr. Museveni is not even willing to let go of these people. How are Ugandans going to rise up when they have no fear of being political prisoners and to be in all these jails for a long time?
Well, I think, Mr. Moderator, on this matter is that question is very much tricky. I wish we had I wish we had individuals or colleagues from the opposition parties, most especially the National Unity Platform, to be able to talk about this. But when it comes to the political prisoners who have been detained, we believe that they are detained because for the same cause of the march to parliament. However, as I have told you that Mr. Moi government also used the same system to put irregular cases that are irregular over judicial weaponizing to make sure that citizens or those who have come out to speak have been castrated. As far as I can say, Mr. Moderator, you've seen the group of Olivia retire. Even the fight is not yet over. But as you can see, they were arrested. The cases of, well, I would call them, they brought the cases which are so-called the military case, which would be handled, which would you must have seen the military courts handling the matters of Olivia retires, the group when they are not even when did not even commit crimes against war crimes. So you can imagine how a civilian could be charged in a court martial when he did not commit a war crime or either found in position with military arms. So, and again, you look at the situation where the people who have been caught with military clothes, military. Let's not go very far. Let's talk about this gentleman, the bodyguard, the driver. Is it the bodyguard of His Excellency Robert
Yep,
Chagulanyi,
Achille
who he
Chivumbi.
was Achille Chibubi, who has been arrested?
Mm.
And when you look at the report, and that says that, and the reports of police and what they did to his home and how they planted these security, they're called uniform stones of generals
Mm.
into his house to implicate him. Of course, those are the tactics that Mr. Museveni has been using. The way Achileo has been implicated with that type of cases is the same cases of the group of Olivia Taya. But what is the way forward? That is the question. Of course, we already understand that Mr. Museveni and his group have done their much best to fabricate cases which are not real, pressing them to the citizens of Uganda in the process of silencing them. But I believe on this issue of political prisoners, I believe that the political party, the National Unity Platform, and its lawyers and I'm sure that they are doing their best. I'm very sure they are doing their best. And one of the reasons to boycott to divert from this, that's why the young youth of March to Parliament have come out with a different strategy of saying, you know what? Sorry, Mr. Moderator.
It's okay.
I, uh, I think like that's why you see they have come out with a different strategy, Mr. Moderator, of saying that we are partiless. Why? Because they have realized that when they come in the umbrella of political parties, they are going to be arrested. And trust me, Mr. Moderator, if these riots, which are being headed by March to Parliament protesters, had they come under the umbrella of political parties, trust me, they were going to press on them charges of war crimes. They were going to charge them charges of being in position with military arms. They were going to do anything to make sure. So I think that was jumped to this group. I think this group was organized in different way. They knew. So I believe that the detention of Olivia Lutaya Group is against the law of the Republic of Uganda. It is also against the international law of human rights law. But it is just because one man is deciding to use the power in the way how he wants to use it,
Clinton,
which is oppressing everyone. Yes, please.
Clinton, let's talk about. I'm sorry to drive you a bit far. We have
No, it's
religious
okay.
leaders. When it comes to anti-homosexual bill, these people were, a culture, a what, a what, a what. You know, we are missing the cultural leaders. We are missing uh, our religious leaders. So, if those vital people are missing in a fight for corruption, do you think we can
Uh,
we
w-
there is a
w-
race
well,
here to run?
well, definitely. That's what I was telling you. One of the portrayal system Museveni uses, as you have seen, it's just because Ugandans didn't know about this, but it's a tactic. How he goes funding and buying cars, big expensive cars, to the church leaders. What do you think he's doing? What he's doing, he understood that the church leaders, they had the number of Ugandans. So what he had to do, he knew that he cannot go to support the Ugandans who are in those churches, and what he had to do, because he knew that these church leaders have power to speak. Museveni tactics, he fights so much where there is power to speak. If you have been analyzing him, he fights so much where there is a leader, and a leader who has numbers. You have seen the pressure and the way how he has tried to silence His Excellency Robert Chagulanyi. So when we speak about the church leaders, the Ugandan, as Uganda, there's no church leaders. They are all Museveni. They are all Musevenisms. They are full of Musevenism. You don't tell me that you just go to the church of Kayanja and talk about badly about Museveni. Before you move out, Museveni will be aware and they will be arresting you there and then. So he has manipulated these church leaders. He has made sure that they connive within in the jurisdiction of corruption, and should they come out to speak, they will be held accountable. They will be intimidated. So you don't expect any church leader to come out to speak against what is going on in the country. Actually, what they will do, we have a young lady, Mr. Moderator, last week but one. She went with a placard written, Anita must go, end corruption at the cathedral. Is it
Lubaga, yeah.
cathedral, Lubaga Cathedral, in the church? And when she stood in the church with the placard, she was arrested. And who called the police? The church leaders. So you can see the manipulation level. She was arrested, and actually she was given a bail 3 days ago, Mr. Moderator. So you don't expect that we still have church leaders. That's what I was telling you, that the best strategy that we have right now as Ugandans is to come together, is to stop fear and stand together. Because, Mr. Moderator, Ugandans, we have one problem. We have a problem of speaking so much and do less. Our second problem is being togetherness. We lack togetherness. If we were together, Mr. Museveni would have not ruled us for 40 years. But because we ourselves, we don't believe in ourselves, it has taken us 40 years to wake up. Our mothers and fathers have sold our own country. Mr. Moderator, if I want to take you back a little, when in 2017, when Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, when she was a former Speaker of Parliament, uh, when she brought a bill, and the bill, when she passed the bill of removal of term limits, that's when Uganda was sold. Those are the group of people that completely removed the last part that was holding our Ugandan emblem, that was holding our Ugandan democracy. So there is no church leaders. There is no so-called leaders in our country no more because they are all compromised by Mr. Museveni. That's why you see Anita Mong. Anita Mong is there seated. When you have heard the speeches of Anita Mong, she's speaking with so much power, showing that she's going nowhere. So, but whom does she speak? When you do like this and you turn around, Mr. Moderator, you're going to see Anita Mong with President Museveni holding each other. You can see what is going on, Mr. Moderator. They are spending almost 500 billion for 500 billion for one seat. They are just saying that they are taking parliamentary seats in different regions. Is it in Arua,
Karamoja.
Mbarara, and other, and Karamoja? But do you know how much money they are going to spend per one seat?
Even
Per one seat,
even Karamoja is suffering. How come?
even Karamoja,
Why don't you invest that money in Karamoja?
Exactly. People have no roads, people have no hospitals, but you are planning to take the entire parliamentary staff, transport them, fuel the buses, take them for just one single day seat. Seriously, who proposes this? Who brings these motions on the table? So that's what I'm telling you, that it is Ugandans to wake up. It is Ugandans to fight for their country. It is Ugandans to work together. Otherwise, there is no Uganda tomorrow. The Ugandans, the pastors you're talking about, the bishops and whatever, what is they are doing, Mr. Moderator? They are making Ugandans stay in churches from morning to evening. When are they working? When will they work? Because that's the strategy of Museveni. Make these people busy. After making them busy, for me, let them not see what is going on. They will start stealing money. You will not know. Hmm? It's not only that, Mr. Moderator. Look at the situation of bars in Kampala. In Uganda, not only Kampala, the whole of Uganda, people drink from morning to evening. Which generation is that? Which country is that? They drink from morning to evening. There is no rules that is set against alcohol consumption in the country. But why? It is also among the strategy of Mr. Museveni to keep young youth, young Ugandans diverted and dealing within things that are non-developmental to them. Mr. Moderator, when you hear what is happening in Uganda, look at I will just pass this. This is not, it wasn't part of this program, but allow me to pass it.
Okay.
Right now, men in Uganda, Mr. Moderator, they are running on women of Nyash. We are marrying Nyash.
Nkudi.
Mr. Moderator, it is now Nyash. But you know why? When you look at all this system, I'm telling you, men diverting from their responsibilities and fail to be held accountable, men are able to persuade young women, producing them, leave them on streets suffering, leave young children suffering, which is turning into street kids whom are homelessness. And government of Uganda has completely failed to support them and also provide public support for this kind of people. So the men have been left moving. Even when we talk men, these are ministers, these are police officers, these are, when we talk men, we are not talking about men in the villages who are impregnating young women, who persuades young women and impregnate them and leave them suffering. Mr. Moderator, when you look at all that, it's a weapon of Mr. Museveni. As you saw COVID-19, let me create what diverts them from the main cause as I'm stealing Uganda. That's the strategy.
Clinton,
It is not.
Clinton,
Yes, please.
will the stealing ever end in Uganda? Will the stealing ever end in Uganda? Because we have religious leaders stealing. We have political heads stealing. We have and all these. I won't say. I won't call them gangs. All these cocoons. They come up and say, culture. They talk about. I don't know. It is really too
Okay.
much. Will they be
Let me
Clinton?
help you, Mr.
Will the
Moderator.
stealing ever stop in Uganda?
Let me help you, Mr. Moderator, on that. There is no Uganda anymore. There is a reform. There is a revolution that must be done. The government of Museveni must leave power of Uganda. The Ugandans have to decide. Mr. Moderator, there's what we call, when you have a computer, let me start with the machines you used in the studio. And if a computer you have been using it and it jams, when it jams, it is what you have to do as an ICT or a technician. You need to reboot. Either you reboot, either you restart. The status of Uganda at the point where we are holding a 141 position out of 180 on the index of 26 out of 100. Highest level of corruption. Uganda need a reform. The government of Uganda need to change. And I think that is one of the seven needs, wants of what the young protesters who are using X spaces or Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, what they are demanding. And what they are doing right now, they are mobilizing, they are teaching Ugandans, they are going down in the villages, teaching them what is going on. The Ugandan government need to be changed. There is no better tomorrow. As I'm telling you that as we are fighting corruption, as the young youth are on the streets fighting, what is happening is that someone in the parliament of Uganda with his group of the beneficiaries have come out and said, let us start making parliamentary seats in different regions. Can you understand what I'm saying, Mr. Moderator? So
Yes, yes, I do. I do.
does that give you a picture that the steering is finishing, or it gives you that?
The stealing is. Let me ask you. By the way, you just with this open. I want. Can I call it thuggery, stealing? Uh, with this open thuggery among our leaders, can really Twitter Spaces and can really Twitter Spaces end Museveni's rule in Uganda?
Let me answer that. Do you know what has happened in Bangladesh, Mr. Moderator?
Yes, I know. I know.
The Prime Minister is now what? Do you know
India.
how it started?
He's in
It
India.
start.
He's seeking
It
asylum in
started.
UK.
It started on the mobilization of Twitter of space.
Mm.
Do you know what happened in Kenya? It happened that right now, President Ruto, he's on the knees of Kenyans, and it all began from space. What is happening in Nigeria, Mr. Moderator? It all we have, of course, it's bad news that almost 9 people were killed in Nigeria on what we called end bad governance, hashtag end bad governance. It is so sad. Um, but it all started from space. Mr. Moderator, starting war in Africa and other, you know what happened in the UK yesterday, a few days ago, Mr.
Mm.
Moderator? It all began from the space. So I believe that yes, space has the power to, the space or the social media has power. Before I go very far, why do you think in 2021 elections, why do you think that Museveni had to shut down Facebook if social media had no power? Mr. Museveni knows that social media has power and it can cause a revolution. It can cause a change of power, a change of governance in Uganda. So yes, what it requires is persistence, what is required, it is collectiveness. What is required is working togetherness and continuing with solidarity. The judicial system has to be reformed through through the lawyers, through the Uganda Law Society, they have to work hand in hand to make sure that that part is cleansed. The parliamentarians, they have to work together to make sure the parliament is clean, and the people of Uganda have to push the government to make sure the state house is cleaned. So I would say that yes, the social media is a current Gen Z system to reform countries. Mr. Moderator, we don't no longer there is no longer going to the bush to hold guns like what Mr. Museveni, what he's always telling Ugandans. Whenever he comes to speak, he brings the 1986 stories all the time, to make sure that the Ugandans keep oppressed. Mr. Moderator, I would say that Ugandans have reached the point of saying, I am not your muzukuru.
By let's talk about Museveni's slang he uses for the Gen Z, Bazukulu. Does the Bazukulu, when Mr. Museveni calls us the Bazukulu, does that really make us less of citizens now? And is it
Definitely,
really appropriate for him?
I would say,
Is it really
I
appropriate
would,
for Mr. Museveni to still call Ugandan citizens his Bazukulu?
I would say that Mr. Museveni calling Ugandans, calling them Bazukuru, that slogan, it is it's a patronage. It's a patronage way of control, of wanting to control people. Familiarity, creating familiarity. I think you have had complaints where they are saying that people in Uganda to get jobs is about who knows you, right? I'm a son of this. I am a daughter of this. All that's a game connected to Bazukuru because the president gave me the job. The president did the. You can imagine. You are saying that you are fighting corruption, but the person you appoint to head the committee of fighting corruption, he was in 2022 convicted with convicted by anti-corruption court crimes of corruption, but is now the person you are saying that you are bringing to fight corruption. Mr. Museveni games are done, and I believe that calling Ugandans Vazukuru, it is a total disrespect to the citizen of the country, because as Museveni, when he was coming in 1976, when he started his Bush war fighting, he found Uganda, and Uganda had presidents. So I believe that Ugandans should not allow Mr. Museveni to continue using that tongue, that Bazukuru. And of course, they have rejected it. We are not his. I was on the Twitter space where there was a Mugisha Muntu, and he was asked the same question. And definitely he was saying, like, that is not acceptable. Ugandans are Ugandans. They have produced with generations and generations. It is totally wrong. We are not Bazukuru of Mr. Museveni. That is a family way of ruling. And so it should not be accepted by Ugandans, is
Okay.
what I can say.
Clinton, it's almost now 10 minutes to make an hour since we started our interview. Before I let you go, what are to you, according to CMP, what are your plans when it comes to fight for a free Uganda
Well,
and fighting for corruption? Because
thank you so much. Thank
okay,
you so much, Mr. Moderator. I just want to directly, before I forget, is that I just want to say that Ugandans have to remember before you. I'm sorry to go back, but at
it's okay.
$2.4 billion annually, it's the money that we are losing, and these losses divert is, they are diverted in a way that they have left. We have a critical way of service in healthcare, education, infrastructure. Mr. Moderator, when you look at the roads of Kampala, it's really alarming. They wake up and just construct 1 kilometer and they sleep completely for more than other 5 years or 2 years. When you look at the roads in Kampala and the city around Kampala, when you look at I saw one school in Karungu. Mr. Moderator, let me pass this. There's pupils at Karungu Primary. Is it Karungu Primary School? They it rained and they were stopped to go back to school. They have to spend 2 weeks before they go back to school because of flooding. You can imagine. But you have Anita Monk I happen to have, let me buy the way past this. I happen to have contacted Anita Mong, and under secret investigation, we had pictures that we had received where he was parking. I will share them with you, with the public, so that you can see
Okay.
where they had received, and in the night in a certain so-called house, parking money in briefcases, a speaker.
Really?
Yes,
It
I have
happened?
these photos. I have these photos.
Anita
I
Among?
contacted her,
Oh
Anita
my God.
Mong.
Okay.
Yes, not so. That is not office in a home from so-called house, parking money in cases. The table is full, but the Ugandans are completely silent. So now, let me just going back to the point where you're saying, what is CMP? As a CMP publication, it's an investigative paper. Its role is to continue bringing in light, bringing in light the negativity and the patronage way of Museveni, how he's ruling Ugandans. I believe that people can go there and read it on www.clintonmirrors.com. They can be able to read. You will find latest reports, and our work. We are continuing working hand in hand with different investigators, news investigators, journalist investigators on ground, and those who know, and even to the extent that we are actually taken is differently mileage. Our reports are all well facted. They are facts. They are not just thought about. It's not just a thought about, but it's a facts related. They can go and see these reports. See how Museveni is continuing to press. Mr. Moderator, we have a report that we have been working on. It is about these young girls and young boys who have been killed in Saudi Arabia. Like the people officials at this side, as you are at this side of the country eating the money, but the children of the citizens are being sodomized and killed in the United Arab Emirates. And the ambassadors, they are saying, Mr. Moderator, that the embassy of Uganda in Saudi Arabia, it has been used to put casino machines of the Minister of Internal, is it Internal Affairs? The Minister of Internal Affairs who bought the casino machines, and they are the ones in the embassy of the. But people are dying. The government is not coming out to clear why are these young Ugandans go to Saudi Arabia to work without repatriation insurance? Why are they not insured? Why are these companies not held accountable? So this shows the recklessness of selfishness, of high standard selfishness of the government being not caring to the Ugandan citizen and only favoring the people who are covering their dark sides. We believe that Museveni has a lot of dark side that he's doing, assassinating, abducting people in light. Eh? So now you have heard the reports of Uganda police officials who are sodomizing the prisoners. We have reports, we have evidences pinching this. We are actually even writing to International Criminal
The
Court.
police, Ugandan police,
Yes,
sodomizing.
the police of yes, you get the police officers. I can, if you want a name, I can give you a name. If you want names, I can give you names. These are not just stories. Sodomizing and addressing women in the prison and aligning them when they are in menstrual periods. Mr. Moderator, we don't have a country anymore. So these stories, all of them, they're investigated by CMP, coordinating with other agencies. They will be there publicized, they'll be publicized, and that's why our news way of reporting, it's different. We don't report like a news paper, but it's a human rights paper. We only post human rights, but definitely the paper is anti-government, Mr.
Mm.
Moderator. I will say that it's an
Mm.
anti-government. Whatever you're going to find there, it's not supporting Museveni. But if you need anything from 1989, reports about the 300 men, about the Kasese genocide, about the Kampala 2021 election almost massacre, and so much more, we're going to find them there, Mr. Moderator.
Okay. Clinton, thank you so much. But before you go, allow me to do this advert. The
I, I,
African
I, I
allow me before you
okay,
go a minute. African Decent
okay.
Ontario adds Toronto, Canada invites you to their Art and Culture International Talent Exhibition that is gonna be there starting from 30th November. They're gonna be at 237 Sackville Street, Toronto. It's gonna be an all VVIP experience. So partake your 100 Canadian dollars. International delegates $375 call them on +1 437 332 5563 so that you can get more information according to their event. There's also going to be an exhibition on 6th and 8th December, so still at Sackville Street, Toronto. So be there. Event is on 30th, exhibition is going to be on 6th and 8th December. So to everyone that is interested in that, please call up those people. So, Clinton, your last words before we let
My
go.
last, before I go, thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. There was a question I have received. I think it's a contribution. He said that, hey, in fact, the government knew that NUP MPs and NUP activists only would be in march to parliament. So you see, the people of Uganda already know. He said that if they did march to parliament under NUP umbrella, then it would be worse now. Just live on air, listening from Maki in the Kampala. So he was like saying that to the question about stealing in Uganda, stealing, rooting, corruption can never end until this government changes. And that's the same thing I'm telling you, Mr. Moderator, as I'm ending, is that Ugandans need to work together. I call upon all those people in diaspora. I call upon all Ugandans on ground. They need to stand and work together. This issue of reforming the country is not a responsibility of just one person. It's a responsibility of all Ugandans. I say that all of us, let us join together if we want a better tomorrow and a better nation. I would end up saying that I thank you so much for God and my country. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Clinton, so much. To everyone that was listening to us, both on TikTok and on www.zavioradio.com. I'm glad you've been there. We've had quite a good audience. I have a few people I have to big up from the USA, Uganda, Canada here, and the people from Saudi Arabia that have been listening in. African Decent, thank you so much. Mr. Alex Nkugwa, One Winter, K Suku House, thank you so much, and everyone. Mr. Clinton Ampire, allow me. Whenever I think you create time. I think once in a week we come up on this platform so that we can dig deep into issues that are happening in Uganda, and people would love to know what we think, solutions to the problems that are happening, if really there are problems in Uganda.
Thank you so much. I'll make
Okay.
sure I do that.
Thank you so much to everyone that has been listening to us. I have to let it go from here. Let me get some. Clinton, you need some Bobby Wine song.
Well, I would say yes. I would say that I dedicated now the Bobby Wine song to my people of Nation in the platform
Okay.
and all Ugandans at large. Thank you so much.
Okay. To everyone that has been listening in live, back to the music. See you again when we get the chance of getting one Clinton. Thank you so much. Okay.